Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and we're going to continue on into a conversation that isn't going to sit well with a lot of the people here in this particular video, but it's something that came up over the video game news over the last few days, and I think it's something that we have to go ahead and address. Let's get the introductions out of the way. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
And I'm Gray Mouse One.
Whether or not you love them, leave them, whatever you think about them, Ubisoft is definitely a significant contributor to the video game industry. All right, they put out a lot of stuff, and this particular year they're having a record year. They've got like some of the best-selling games that have been hitting multi-platform, PS4, Xbox One, PC, all over the place. That even if they've had like really rocky starts, they're very successful, and they're making a lot of money. Whether or not you're talking about The Division, Ghost Recon Wildlands, or For Honor, or things like that, they're making a lot of money, and they've actually hit the front end of 2017 very hard, and they've put out a lot of product, and that product is probably going to continue to be supported for quite a while to come. Well, the reason why it comes up is that Ubisoft actually had their fiscal year 2017 financial call where they were talking to their investors and everything else, and they were talking about, okay, this is where Ubisoft is at for the fiscal year 2017. This is our immediate plan going forward for the rest into the fiscal year 2018. And this is what's going to shape our particular roadmap from a corporate standpoint going forward, all right? And one of the things that was very, very telling was that basically as far as their strategy goes for games that are coming out over this year and into next year, probably into the future, is that, what stood out is that Ubisoft, in their words, is aiming for a lower reliance on new releases. Basically, they want to go ahead and put out less games, less AAA titles over the year, but within those AAA titles, to go ahead and buttress financially throughout the year and into perpetuity, those particular titles are going to have a lot of DLC and paid microtransactions and other stuff that's going to go ahead and make them worthwhile for them, okay? And let's just be honest. With all of their great hits, that I mentioned, For Honor, Ghost Recon Wildlands, The Division, and everything else, those particular games at launch, they were fucking horrendous, all right? They were hard to deal with experiences no matter what platform you're on. And through a little bit of persistent work on it, they've patched things up where things are a lot more playable, or they're definitely in a different state than what they were at launch. I think where this becomes really, really concerning is that, if you look at the information that they released out for their financial call and their fiscal year earnings report and everything else, we're not big fans of going completely digital or microtransactions or a lot of the market structure that's going toward. But the truth of the matter is that those particular strategies with the current consumer that's in the video game industry, those are money-making strategies, and they're really fucking successful. Mm-hmm. All right? As well, I mean, I hate to say that, but it's true. Okay? And one of the reasons why we kind of got to look at this is because, if one company goes out of their way and they prove that they've got a record-breaking year, something that, can prove that they've earned more or they've been more profitable doing a certain set of things more than anything else, and the market data supports that, man, you can bet dollars to donuts that other publishers are going to do that, unfortunately. And that's kind of where I'm going to stop rambling on and open up the floor right here. Guys, what do you think about this particular one? I know we've been gamers for a long time, and we've seen a lot of the flux and a lot of trends come and go. This doesn't look like something that's going to be bucked from the industry anytime soon. What do you guys think about Ubisoft's plan going into the future?
With this,
Being an old-time gamer, old-school gamer, we saw the industry grow. And I think this is one of the things that was inevitably going to happen. But, you know, I'm always one of those that wish that companies sent out an official or a complete game, 100% complete game. I miss those days where you can just buy a cartridge and know that you have the complete game. You know, they're not going to add to it. They're not going to take away from it or whatever. But those times is long gone, you know, especially, correct me if I'm since the sixth generation, around that time.
Ever since the Xbox came including a hard drive on board.
Yeah, and again, Microsoft was the first one that did that. So it's very interesting that we come to this point in time to where there's a fine line between, are we really getting a complete game when we buy a AAA title, or are the developers holding back certain elements of the game to make players pay for the future content, future content? Ubisoft, and I understand, I mean, if I was a publisher and I was a developer, it's really expensive to make a game nowadays. We're talking into the hundreds of millions of dollars to make a game, a AAA game. And selling a game at $60, even if you sell 1 million copies or 10 million copies, you're still not getting a fraction of what you've spent making those AAA games. So, I mean, I'm not trying to make an excuse for downloaded content, but it seems like that's the future for the developer to get a little bit back from them developing the game. So, I mean, I guess you could can you blame gamers for wanting a complete experience, or wanting that $100 million game in development? Is it us because we want, we're forcing the developers to push AAA titles? Is it our fault? I'm not saying, maybe indirectly it's our fault because we expect, the next game to push the envelope, the next game to push that envelope, the next game to push that envelope, the next game to push that envelope. So are we artificially, indirectly, causing the development of games to be into the $100,000 range? And then the developers are left with, well, we made this game, but we're not getting enough back, from selling the game to even remotely, turn a profit on it. So, I mean, that's my opening statements. What do you have, Theme?
As far as, placing any blame on the gamers for that type of concept, that will go to the assumption that every game that comes out is fucking good. And
agreed.
And motherfuckers will spend, $60 to $150 for it.
Well, I'm just talking about I'm just talking about vanilla games. I'm talking about they release a game for $60 and that's it. Are we the one, are the gamers the one that's indirectly causing the development of that game to be into hundreds of thousands of dollars because
hundreds of millions? Hundreds
of millions, rather. I'm sorry. Thank you. Are we indirectly causing that? Or is this the cause and the effect with the microtransactions? I mean, are we the problem because we're expecting these AAA games to be the next limit to be pushed, the envelope next? You know what I mean? Is it fair to say?
Well, one of the things about that is that, okay, in order for companies to do shit like this, we have to openly participate. If we don't buy all of that, then that norm stops. The more we, as gamers, go into that, purchase it, and accept it, it becomes the norm.
Well, I mean, I think that time is long past.
Well, let me kind of steer this back a bit. All right, what are your thoughts on this particular situation that we have in front of us right now, Theme? Because we're gonna get to the question that you're raising, Gray Mouse. Inevitably, believe me, we are. All right, and I have thoughts on that, so we're gonna get to that. What do you think about the fact that Ubisoft is coming out and openly saying, hey, look, this is how we're going to be making money, and this is how we're going to continue as a company, as a major player in the industry, going forward.
Well, look at what Nintendo was doing back in the day as far as having limits set on how many games can come out per publisher. That wasn't all that great, but it wasn't all that bad. If you have Ubisoft coming out with like 3 games a year or something like that, if they're great games, then we're going to buy them and we're going to be craving more. As far as setting that type of limit, I guess it really depends on the games themselves. To just go ahead and announce that, okay, yeah, we're going to be doing this, and this is the way we're going to make cash, and we're going to be coming out with these games, and then the add-on to it, a little bit later on. That's been kind of going on anyway.
Well, the thing is that people keep forgetting that you can't argue with hard-cold facts. All these major AAA companies, not just Ubisoft, but all these other companies, they're looking back. They're looking at that, wow, we put out a game at $60 and then we charge an additional $120 for added content to keep the game quote unquote alive. I mean, you can't argue with those facts that companies, AAA companies, developers are making more money on the microtransactions versus selling a vanilla copy of the game. You can't argue with that. I mean, the facts are there. It's in the earnings reports that you see that they put out every quarter. It's there. The facts are there, and I'm not one to argue with facts.
Well, yeah, there's a right way to do that, and then there's Street Fighter V.
Well, let's just put it this way, okay? If we're looking at things just from a straight numbers point of view, all right, it doesn't matter if you're trying to balance your checkbook or if you're trying to, lose weight, all right? If it's a strict numbers in, numbers out type thing, all right, that, hey, more activity requires more overhead, all right? So there's a few things that you can do. You can go ahead and lessen the activity that you're doing, or you can sit there and change the type of activity you're doing. Now, I'm somebody who's had the opportunity to sit there and work with a big publisher, and also work with like smaller startup development type companies and stuff like that. I think having a broader spectrum of AAA, A titles, B titles, C titles, and stuff like that, I think that's actually probably a lot better in the long run. But if all you're looking at is, concentrating mostly on AAA titles, this move makes sense. It makes sense. All right. I hate to sit there and say, hey, look, good job, Ubisoft, for telling us that you're going to nickel and dime us for each and every fucking thing we do. All right. But from just a truthful standpoint, it makes sense. Now, to go back to what you asked, Gray Mouse, is this a consequence of, gamers going out of their way and saying, oh yeah, this is what they want? I think it's smart to go ahead and follow the trends, all right? I don't think it's the gamer's fault for that going that way, all right? What is the gamer's fault is being willing to settle for a half-ass shit, all right?
Absolutely.
That right there, I got to say, look, as a gamer, all right, look, you motherfuckers are crying about, games that you don't even know what the fuck they're about, not hitting a fucking release date, all right? Sending death threats to fucking developers and publishers, okay?
That's bullshit.
Saying that this is your whole fucking life. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
All right?
No.
Of course they're going to sit there and they're going to hit a fucking release date, all right? Because they've got, if they're being inundated, it doesn't matter if it's a few dozen, a few hundred, or a few thousand fucking death threats coming in through fucking email. Are you going to be the guy who's sitting there sifting through trying to figure out which one is real? All right.
It could be product of our time, being that information is so available at the touch of a button that people, gamers, can actually, reach out to development. Because back in the 80s, you couldn't even, you don't do things. You didn't do things.
Regardless of whether or not you have social media to go ahead and connect gamers with actual publishers or developers and shit like that, gamers have made it very, very fucking clear that if you say you have something cool coming to them by XY date, that any deviance from that is going to be met with cataclysmic fucking uproar.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Entirely.
So if you sit there, and this is one of the reasons why, like, maybe it's because I've worked on the other side of the curtain and stuff like that. I don't mind delays in games all that much. In fact,
I don't either.
Generally speaking, for a lot of the releases that have come out over the past, half decade, I can probably name a dozen, titles off the top of my head that needed at least another 3 to 6 months of fucking development in QA. All right. And it's easy for me to do that because that's something I've worked with. All right. But guess what? Gamers were willing to go ahead. They bitched and moaned about it, but they still emptied their fucking wallets. All right.
Case in point is Zelda. It got delayed, and I could not imagine. It got delayed, but what, a year before it was actually released, or close to it.
Yeah, it made a fucking difference. All right, but the thing about it was that Nintendo, as far as Nintendo goes, Nintendo does what Nintendo does. People weren't, even if people were sitting there sending fucking death threats to Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah.
All right. They're still going to go ahead and release it out whenever they need to go ahead and release it out.
So,
all right.
Let me ask another question. Are you willing to accept 3 AAA games from Ubisoft, and then in the meantime, between those games, you get microtransactions? Is that an acceptable practice? So instead of flooding the market with a fucking Assassin's Creed every fucking year or whatever, do you prefer to have Assassin's Creed every 2 years with microtransactions to make up for not releasing games?
My gripe is to have games not finished intentionally.
You talk about on disc DLC.
Not even necessarily that. No. I know what he's talking about, but go ahead, Deem. I could expand on this. Go ahead. Take your time. I'm talking about, okay, again, Street Fighter 5.
No arcade mode, unacceptable.
I'm talking about shit just missing or wide open or just not there. And motherfuckers buy it anyway, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll wait. It's coming. Oh, season pass? Yeah, we'll pay for that shit too. We know that eventually you're going to bring out shit that we want. What the fuck you mean eventually? I mean, damn. And being lazy about it, as far as, having the game and just saying, fuck you, we'll complete it when we complete it, even though you paid full price and then some, and you're still not done with the fucking game? The initial game?
Well, I mean, so I'm not trying to defend Street Fighter 5, but everything that has been added to the game, you can get through fight money.
Well, let's rewind a little bit, okay? Because we can run on a tangent on Street Fighter 5, but that's really, I don't want to keep things so fucking specific that we sit there, we concentrate around a title when we're really trying to address a trend. With publishers and developers, all right? By and large, just like I'm not against delaying games, I'm not completely against DLC. I'm not completely against microtransactions, all right? I hate the fact that, it's pretty much overrunning and completely replacing your standard model of, hey, look, this is a physical title. Everything you need to fucking play and actually enjoy this title in its entirety is right here, all right? Because I understand that, publishers and developers, especially developers, all right, they work a lot of long hours, and, that extra content that's thrown in, that incurs its own costs, and those people need to get paid, all right? Like I said, with DLC, there are 3 cardinal sins of DLC that I just cannot accept, all right? Number 1, when you hide a fucking ending, a true ending to a game behind DLC, fuck you, really, fuck you. All right, that is not acceptable. All right. Number 2, on disc DLC, look, if it's pressed on the fucking disc, all right, I purchased that disc. I have a fucking receipt. I should own that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Or even if it's just a license to use it, I own the license to use whatever's on the fucking disc. All right.
Wait a minute.
You know,
if I would have purchased fireworks and on July 4th, I try to set them bitches off and a paywall comes up
asking you got to pay 99 cents for a pack of fuses. Fuck you. All right. Okay. No, I understand. Okay. That's number two. You know, the third one, is when you sit there and you get paid DLC, which is actually a fix for issues that happened with a broken fucking game.
Yeah.
All right. No, if the game is broken, patch that shit up.
Yeah.
All right. If you sit there and say, "Oh, it's a brand new rebalancing pack that's going to go on with the season fucking pass," no, your shit was broken. All right. If it wasn't broken, you didn't need to fucking rebalance it. Okay.
That's the thing about it. It's like, wait a minute, the game is broken, but we got to pay for you to fucking fix it.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, that's so. But when it comes to DLC, as long as you're not doing those particular things, I don't fucking mind. Because the thing is, let's consider Ubisoft's position here. All right. For fiscal year 2017, their profits went up over 40%. And guess what? Their numbers show, as they explained, when Yves Guillemot was explaining in their earnings call, 50% of their profits came from digital fucking purchases. All right. So that included all of the microtransactions and everything else. Microtransactions inherently, unfortunately, I think that's something that's not going to go away. But, when it's something where it's pay to win, all right, that's fucked up. All right, that's bullshit.
Well,
okay, that is.
The only way if any of that goes away is that people start emptying their wallets for it.
Yeah.
That trend will have to stop, and that's up to the gamers themselves.
Yeah.
Well, you can't really blame Microsoft for starting this either, because I mean it's been done with PC games forever with expansion packs and whatnot. I mean that's technically
PC.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with PC games is that initially expansions were free. All right, it just happened to be something that was already in the process.
Correct.
Okay. Unfortunately, they didn't get paid until later on, and then when Microsoft came around and said, "Hey, we're going to make this as paid DLC," it actually, those publishers actually, those developers actually breathed a sigh of relief. They're like, "Oh, we're actually going to see some money from this shit that we went ahead and we worked on." Granted, yeah, the publisher gobbles up like the majority of that stuff, but that was something that they were like, "All right, fine, this is something we can go ahead and we can work with." The problem that I have, like what the theme is brought up, is that when you're sitting there, when it looks like you're selling me a broken product, when it looks like you're selling me an incomplete product, when sections of shit are missing, all right? With Street Fighter V, you could literally click on things on launch day and it said, this game is a platform. This is not available at this moment in fucking time, all right? And you're telling me I paid $59.99 plus tax for this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's where things go out of style. I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about this at all. Okay, with me, physical media is king. All right, and whatever I buy on physical media, I should fucking own. All right, if all I own is a license to play in the fucking game, if the license includes everything that's on that fucking disc, I should fucking be able to use it. All right. So
you should be able to access it.
Yeah.
Because it's there.
So to do a full circle here, do you agree or disagree with what Ubisoft's plans are for the future?
But as the Reverend pointed out, as long as they don't do that crap that, okay, again, shit's already on disc and we can't access all of it. No, that's garbage. Stuff like that.
Here's something.
If they come out with something and they have things intentionally missing, talking about, oh, it's in development, it's not there yet, stay tuned, to be continued. Wait, what? It's already, you mean to tell me that you're still working on it? I have this shit here. The fuck? Why didn't you just delay that shit? Oh, okay. Or patch it up. don't make me pay for fucking patches.
Yeah, I mean that's bullshit right there. I mean, here's the thing. I understand. Well, you know, when I look at like the numbers and I look at where Ubisoft is coming from, okay, they're a business and their primary goal, like we've said multiple times, every primary goal for every business is to go ahead and make a profit. Yeah. Breaking even is as bad as losing money for a lot of businesses. All right, so they don't want to go ahead and do that. So with this, like I said before earlier in the video, you know, if you're, like I said, if you're balancing budgets or trying to lose weight, you know, there's two options. Either you could do more or you could do less, all right? Or you could do something different. So Ubisoft, they found that what they're doing so far is working. They're choosing to go ahead and do less, all right?
So do you think it's going to cause a precedent throughout? Is it going to cause like
if it's
a way that other AAA developers and publishers are going to try if it's
successful?
You know what? Here's the thing. That precedent has already passed.
Yeah.
That's my whole position on this. That precedent has already passed. Microtransactions would not exist as something that's seen viable within the console video game industry or the console portion of the video game industry if mobile and smart devices weren't making a killing off of it already.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that's one thing that we have to sit there and we gotta realize. I mean, it's I hate to go ahead and think that, hey, look, next time I go ahead and I pick up an Assassin's Creed, or you know, if I ever get around to it, all right, that, you know, just to go ahead and be able to do something as simple as use my hidden blade, that I'm going to have to sit there and shell out a microtransaction. Granted, that's rather extreme, okay, but not completely outside of the realm of possibility. All right, that's a scary thing, not completely outside of the realm of possibility. But if Ubisoft ends up making, you know, better games because of it, all right, because let's just rewind back to like 2015, all right. Majority of their fucking games that they put out were fucking rushed and broken, okay, and a lot of them have issues that have never been fucking fixed, all right. Fucking, what was it? Assassin's Creed Unity or whatnot was farmed out to like 18 fucking studios across 6 different fucking countries, and they were realistically expecting to go ahead and, you know, release a solid game, you know, with all of that interchange. It's hard enough to go ahead and get 3 fucking companies or 3 fucking developers under the same fucking publisher to fucking coincide and work together, you know, much less 18 over 6 fucking different countries. Are you fucking kidding me?
Look at the port of Batman Arkham Knight.
You know, I mean, this, I think, you know, go ahead, Grandmas.
No, like I was going to say, you know, you have Unity, you have Tom Clancy's, you know, all these games that Ubisoft has put out in the last 3 years, like you said, have been shit when at release. You got like faces missing and glitch heaven, you know, where you fall through the fucking map or whatever. Just insane. So from that perspective, I am glad that Ubisoft is going to throttle back on producing AAA titles, because if by doing so, if they put out less games, you know, I guess when they do put them out, it'll be more quality games.
What if they scale back and the games they come out with are still incomplete?
That very well could be the case.
Yeah, I mean, if
that's the biggest fear about this, they could scale back and still be lazy.
You know, like I said, I don't really have a problem with DLC as long as it's true DLC that actually pushes a storyline further. It's like a Game Plus. You know, we all know what Game Plus is. You know, it kind of gives you more. You know, okay, so we defeated this one
Batman game.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I think with this particular one, if I were to sum this up, and I think this isn't a hard estimation, especially considering the people here in this particular video. The idea of playing a game that's laden with microtransactions and, you know, where a lot of the worthwhile content is hidden behind a paywall, a DLC paywall, does not make me happy.
No.
All right. On the other hand, if I look at where the publishers are coming from, it makes a lot of sense. Okay. The part that worries me and disappoints me at the same time is that, guess what? Majority of gamers have shown that they're okay with that.
I'm not okay with me getting my dick sucked by a beautiful woman or whatever and then not busting a nut. That can't become the fucking norm. It just can't. I wouldn't let it. That's not the point, really.
Yeah.
That's what I equate this to. I'm sorry. You come out games, at least let the initial game be fucking done. If you're going to add on to it later, that's fine. As long as it's true add-ons for reasonable prices, that's fine. Oh, you're expanding the game that was already done, finished. Oh, you're adding more. So I can, okay, all right, I'll shell out money for that. But shell out money to fix a game?
Yeah.
No, for shit that was missing. Oh, we're going to add this later. That shit should have been, wait, you already have the options there. What am I paying more to get it for?
You should never have to pay extra for a vanilla game. I'm just saying, that's just the bottom line. You should never have to pay extra for the vanilla game. You pay your $60, $59.99 plus tax. You got your complete game. You got your complete vanilla game. Add on to later, that's fine. But you should not charge.
If I have to start paying for extra for Fire Flowers and Mario, fuck that.
99 cents. Where's that fucking credit card slot?
Oh God. I was trolling when I was saying that, but that better not come fast.
That's, you know, with as frequent as this bullshit is happening, you know, that's, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens in future.
Would you pay $5 for the Master Sword?
No.
Nope.
All right, but let's, you know, to go ahead and wrap this one up because we're coming up on time here. You know, I think this is an interesting thing. The thing that I think we're all worried about, folks, is that, you know, unfortunately, you know, with Ubisoft being as successful as they are, this is probably going to be a trend that you're going to see repeated over and over and over with other publishers. All right. I would rather see other publishers go out of their way and diversify, not so many AAA titles, put out, like I said, you know, A titles, B titles, C titles. Hell, start out your brand new IPs on those A titles, B titles, C titles on smaller budgets and other things like that, so we don't have to sit there and worry about, you know, sequelitis like we do right now. Okay, or if we do get new IPs, if it doesn't show up every fucking year, maybe it's just on a smaller scale, so people at least have an opportunity to get a new experience. You know, I think that would be much more accepted. But what we really want to know is, what do you think? All right, what do you think about this video? What do you think about Ubisoft, you know, exclaiming to the world that, hey, look, lesser games, more microtransaction, more DLC for everybody. That's what's going to go ahead and carry us into the future, at least until they're eaten up by Vivendi Universal. But that's another story altogether. You know, what are your thoughts on that? We would like to know, so go ahead and let us know by leaving us a comment below. While you're at it, hit that like button, hit subscribe. You know, it'll give us something to talk about. Like you say, you know, every comment is a start of a brand new conversation. With every good conversation, doesn't matter if you agree or disagree. If you take a moment, you stop and actually think about things that we're presenting to you, you know we've done a lot more than you could ever imagine. All right. For the middle-aged guys and our bullshit on Ubisoft's new plan, all of our bullshit right here ends here. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
And Grandma's one.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and being milked, microtransactions for undone games and unfinished games, and games are not having menus on them, and no arcade mode for fighting games and all that shit. Credits.
You know, Ubisoft, regardless of the DLC, microtransactions, and whatever the fuck you're going to go ahead and do in the future, here's something you should have done, I don't know, years ago. Fix fucking Uplay, all right? If that fucking application kills another one of my game saves on a PC fucking game, fuck you, all right? No. It doesn't matter if your shit's complete or not. That should have been done a long, long time ago.
I was going to say, at least Ubisoft is being upfront and being honest. Like, hey, prepare to open up your wallets to play our games, damn it.
It doesn't matter if Uplay is going to go ahead and eat up all of my fucking account information and every game save that comes down the fucking pike. That needed to be fixed last fucking decade.